Today we're talking about junk silver. Junk silver were our coinage up until 1964 when Lyndon B Johnson gutted the material. Let's see if we can get a good shot there. There you go. Of silver content and replaced it with nickel and copper. That's through the 1964 Coinage Act. So junk silver is a bullion product, generally speaking. It comes with a lower premium than certain premium bullion products, such as American Silver Eagles, and it is comprised of our dimes, quarters, and halves from the pre-1965 era. And you can buy them generally in $100, $500, and $1,000 face value bags. So that is like $100 face value is worth like $15.90 today, or around $1,500 because of the silver content being worth that much more due to the inflation we've experienced as a nation over the last 60 years. So in 1965, the United States government discontinued the minting of all dimes, quarters, and half dollars with 90% silver content. As Lyndon B Johnson signed the Coinage Act in 1964 into law, he gave a speech in which he said, quote, "Our new half dollar will continue our silver tradition. 80% silver on the outside and 19% silver on the inside. It will be nearly indistinguishable in appearance from our present half dollar. That half dollar, however, would then have 40% silver in it," which some would argue is a departure from the silver tradition of the United States. Throughout the speech, he made all sorts of claims. For instance, our present silver coins won't disappear and they won't even become rarities, although sometimes now it's very hard to find these coins on the market. We estimate that there are now 12 billion, I repeat, more than 12 billion silver dimes and quarters and half dollars that are now outstanding. We will make another billion before we halt production, and they will be used side by side with our new coins. They were actually then hoarded. And during the 70s, when it was tough to get gas and you had to wait in lines in the United States to get gas, from what I've heard from David Morgan, you were able to pay in silver dimes and go to the front of the line. He said, quote, "Now I will sign this bill to make the first change in our coinage system since the 18th century. And to those members of Congress who are here on this very historic occasion, I want to assure you that in making this change from the 18th century, we have no idea of returning to it. We are going to keep our eyes on the stars and our feet on the ground." Quote, "This is interesting. I want to assure you that in the making this change from the 18th century, we have no idea of returning to it." And here we are in 2020, and we're basically proposing a digital dollar. So we're moving completely away from any physical currency whatsoever. The United States dollar will become truly a 0 and a 1 in a computer database. And there's a lot of people who are arguing, oh, we're going to have a blockchain-based digital dollar. This will not be a blockchain-based digital dollar. This will be a centralized, at best distributed, although I don't think there's really a value distinguishment to make there, system. So then the government switched back then in 1965 to creating coins that had a much cheaper nickel content and a much lower intrinsic value. As the British economist Sir Thomas Gresham from the 16th century once said, "When coins of equal face value but different intrinsic value are put into circulation side by side, the coin with the higher intrinsic value will be hoarded, and only the coin with the lower intrinsic value will remain in circulation." You can imagine what happened after the government made the change in 1965. The 90% silver coin started to quickly disappear from circulation. This change created a new aspect of the bullion industry, the buying, selling, and trading of junk silver. The 90% silver bags come in 4 versions: US half dollars, US quarters, US dimes, and then there's mixed bags. Each $1,000 face value bag weighs approximately 800 troy ounces, a little less actually, 54 pounds, and contain approximately 715 ounces of pure silver. Sometimes this is posited as 720 ounces because as this stuff is worn down, people think that the silver weight is less, which makes sense. As a primarily second market item, junk silver can paint a clear picture of silver demand, and major distributors, not just retail dealers, have across the board run out of junk silver completely at certain points in my lifetime. I recall back in 2013, I think there was an issue with junk silver supplies. Right now in 2020, it's been very hard to get junk silver, and that has increased the premiums along the lines. So let's dig a little bit deeper into junk silver. If we fast forward in an article on goldsilverbitcoin.com called A 6,000 Year War Against Buying Silver, we discuss the debasement of silver in 1964. We'll back up a little bit though and just go over that. Prior to 1933, silver and gold coins were common in the course of commerce. The crash in 1929, which kicked off the Great Depression, caused Franklin D. Roosevelt to cease production and issuance of gold coins by executive order. And again, the crash of 1929, I think, is sometimes called Black Thursday. Maybe it's a Tuesday. This action sent many coins to be melted by the mint, and a great many sent abroad or hoarded domestically. Effectively, all silver and gold coinage was nationalized by the federal government, and ownership thereof was made illegal. Then another debasement in 1964. By 1965, the circulated coinage of the United States had been totally debased. As history had taught, the sure signs of death throes for a falling empire. Debase the currency, kick off wars. History had seen this all before. And then we'll read Lyndon B Johnson's speech. Distinguished members of Congress, ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today for a very rare and historic occasion in our nation's history. Before I make some observations that I have made note of here, I want to say that to the Congress again, as I do almost daily these days, in the words of the Navy, well done. When I have signed this bill before me, we will have made the first fundamental change in our coinage in 173 years. The Coinage Act of 1965 supersedes the Act of 1792, and that act had the title, An Act Establishing a Mint and Regulating the Coinage of the United States. Since that time, our coinage of dimes, quarters, and half dollars and dollars have contained 90% silver. Today, except for the silver dollar, we are establishing a new coinage to take its place beside the old. My Treasury of the Secretary, Joe Fowler, is a little stingy about making samples, but I have some here. Joe made sure that I wouldn't put them in my pocket by sending them over here in plastic. Actually, no new coins can be minted until this bill is signed. So these strikes, as they are called, are coins that we will never use. On one side is our First Lady, Martha Washington, and on the other side, a replica of Mount Vernon. The new dimes and the new quarters will contain no silver. They will be composites, with faces of the same alloy used in our 5-cent piece that is bonded to a core of pure copper. They will show a copper edge. So that's why when you look at your money now, there's like that red-brown edge. And on the junk silver coins, that brown edge is not there. It's just silver all the way around. All these new coins will be the same size and will bear the same designs as do their present counterparts. And they will fit all the parking meters and all the coin machines and will have the same monetary value as the present ones. Now, all of you know these changes are necessary for a very simple reason. Silver is a scarce material. Our uses of silver are growing as our population and our economy grows. The hard fact is that silver consumption is now more than double new silver production each year. So our uses of silver are growing as our population and our economy grows and changes, you could say. This implies that silver has an intrinsic value beyond the monetary components. And many argue that it has more industrial applications than gold does. We'll see if that stays the same over time. There's gold in our computers and laptops, but right now you see that there's this dual use of silver, money, as well as industrial. In the face of this worldwide shortage of silver, Johnson continues, and our rapidly growing need for coins, the only really prudent course was to reduce our dependence upon silver for making our coins. If we had not done so, we would have risked chronic coin shortages in the very near future. There is no change in the penny and the nickel. There is no change in the silver dollar, although we have no present plans for silver dollar production. Some have asked whether our silver coins will disappear. The answer is very definitely no, although they have over time. Quote, our present silver coins won't disappear and they won't even become rarities. We estimate that there are now 12 billion, I repeat more than 12 billion silver dimes and quarters and half dollars that are now outstanding. We'll make another billion before we halt production, and they will be used side by side with our new coins. Since the life of a silver coin is about 25 years, we expect our traditional silver coins to be with us in larger numbers for a very long time. This did not happen. They were hoarded. And in the 70s, if you had silver dimes, for instance, you could go to the front of a gas line during the OPEC crisis, the Middle Eastern oil crisis. If anybody has any idea of hoarding our silver coins, let me say this. Treasury has a lot of silver on hand, and it can be and it will be used to keep the price of silver in line with its value in our present silver coin. That is, the price of silver will be manipulated. Continuing. There will be no profit in holding them out of circulation for the value of their silver content. The new coins are not going to have scarcity. The mint is geared to get into production quickly and do it on a massive scale. We expect to produce not less than 3.5 billions of the new coins in the next year, and if necessary, twice that amount in the following 12 months. So we have come here this morning to this, the first house of the land in this beautiful rose garden, to congregate all of those men and women that make up our fine Congress who made this legislation possible, the committees of both houses, the leadership in both houses, both parties, Secretary Fowler, and all of his associates in the Treasury. I commend the new coinage to the nation's banks and business and to the public, and I think it will serve us well. Now, I will sign this bill to make the first change in our coinage system since the 18th century. And to those members in Congress who are here on this very historic occasion, I want to assure you that in making this change from the 18th century, we have no idea of returning to it. We are going to keep our eyes on the stars and our feet on the ground. So as we've seen that over the years, junk silver has become a bullion product. It's high in demand. The price of silver in these coins, these are quarters again, has divorced, have changed, have gone way higher than the price of this silver coin. And that is significant because this has caused them to be hoarded. So you see, these are all, this one has 1964 on it. Let's see if we can get it in there. It's not going to work, but this one's a 1964. In fact, these are all 1964s. It's pretty interesting. Here's a 1961, and here's a 1956. Let's get a good shot of the 1964. We have these at Gold, Silver, Bitcoin right now. You're able to purchase them and in Bitcoin, or if you want to send junk silver to us for Bitcoin, we also do that trade. Again, just visit goldsilverbitcoin.com, or you can email me at justin@goldsilverbitcoin, and we will either sell junk silver to you for Bitcoin, or even checks and cashier's checks or wire transfers, or send you Bitcoin in exchange for junk silver. So that process is easy. You just send it to us in the mail, and we give you Bitcoin right away. So thank you so much for your attention today. Have a great day, and stay tuned for next time.